Hello, so this video is just to give you a refresher on putting power on the aircraft. We've already done a lesson on this, so there is a recorded lesson in Teams on the going back to around about we've been back in September or October we did this. But if this is just a refresher, if you're doing your assignment and stuff, and your assignment asks you to talk about the procedures and the safety implications for connecting ground power to aircraft. So, safety implications, you're looking at the electricity at work regulations. If this is a lethal voltage, and you'll find what you need to do is look up the electricity at work regulations on the health and safety website and make some reference to the fact that 28 volts DC would be a lethal voltage, as would 115 volts AC or 200 volts AC, as is that power set that those of you, the big green one that we have in the hangar, right, the big green diesel generator GPU that we used to apply power to the 737, that puts out 200 volts AC, right? So 115 volts AC is the general kind of civilian standard voltage. That's a lethal voltage, right? That's said, so that's the kind of safety aspects, that's the regulations that it comes under. Then you've also got the regulations, the local regulations for the particular aircraft you're working on, how to apply ground power to it, which will be detailed in the aircraft maintenance manual. Okay. Regulations for checking power sets and doing pre-use checks. There will be local airport regulations that you'll have to follow as well. Yeah, so they all tie together. They all basically say the same thing. So we'll go through a generic kind of procedure now in the next sort of 5 minutes. Right. So the first thing you're looking at is, before you do anything, you have to check it's safe to apply power to the aircraft. And that's two things you're going to do for that. One is you're physically going to check it's safe to apply power, and you're also going to maybe check the aircraft paperwork to see if there's any notes on the paperwork to say that the aircraft has bits missing, so you can't apply ground power to it. So there may be an open job card that says do not apply ground power, because they've got things, some wires, or someone's working in the fuel tanks, or someone's doing something where it would be dangerous to power the aircraft up. So that might be when you go into the maintenance office and you have a look on the computer, it might be a warning. Other warnings you might see, you might walk up the aircraft and there might be a notice on the cockpit when you go in the cockpit, and it says do not apply power, or generally you'll hang them next to the power sockets here and they'll say no power, or do not apply ground power. There's no notices there. Go in the cockpit, there's no notice on the control column saying don't apply ground power. There's no notice on if it's a something like a jet provost, you might see it's hung on the side of the canopy. Right, so that's not there, that's okay. Next thing you're going to do is making sure that it's safe to apply ground power physically. Right, you'll walk around the aircraft and check out that no one's working on it and that you can power the aircraft up. Or that whichever maintenance procedure that they are following, then it's okay for you to have power on while you're doing that. Now this comes to your assignment work, where for the merits and distinctions and things, you're looking at how all the different procedures fit together. So if someone's refueling on the next aircraft along, yeah, your local regulations for that airport might say that you can't flick power sets on and off in that refueling area. Yeah, that's how it links together. Don't forget the links all the time, how everything is linked together. Okay, so you've also got to work out the aircraft itself you're working on, is that okay to apply ground power? And if it's a small aircraft like this, all you do is you just walk to the back of it, yeah, pop your head in the cabin, have a look around, make sure there's nobody there, look around the aeroplane, make sure no one's coming to start a job, because if you're going to go and do this bit, then go and do your switch checks, then you need to make sure that people aren't there saying, like start the job, or they come and start working on the engine while you're applying ground power. Right, enough waffle for me then. Next thing you need to look at is the power set itself. Is it the right type of power? So check the AMM. As well as that, quite often 28 volts DC power supply is written on the side of the aeroplane. So that says 28 volt DC, we're okay with that. Yeah, we've got a 28 volt DC power set here. We're going to do a pre-use inspection of the power set. All ground equipment, jacks, trestles, cranes, anything that you use really, hydraulic ground units, start carts. You do a pre-use every time you use them. Quick pre-use inspection, so you have a look at the cable, right, and look down there, make sure there's no dirt and fod and rubbish in there, and it's all clean and it's okay. We're checking the cables to make sure there's no bits with being driven over and damaged possibly. don't drive over power cables. There's one thing. We're looking to see if it's wet, if it's covered in water or hydraulic fluid or anything. Then you might want to clean that off and get that sorted, right? Any nicks or conductors showing, any copper showing through there, don't use it. The set itself, making sure that the switches work and they're accessible and all the switches are there and it looks that it's actually in use and it's not broken. There's no signs on there saying don't use this power set, and that it's the right one for that job. So this one's actually got a portable appliance sticker on there to say that it's been tested and that's been part tested, so at least we know it's been tested, and that was tested in December 2020, so it should be safe. Okay, right, then we can apply ground power. So what we'll do is we've checked the right power set, right? Yeah. Before we plug it in and stuff, we need to do something with the aircraft to make sure the aircraft is safe to accept ground power. So the aircraft has to be in a condition that the military term is safe for maintenance, okay? And what that means is you're going to gain access to the cockpit, right? So on a military aircraft, you might have to check the ejection seat pins before you enter the cockpit. On any sort of aircraft, you're going to be looking for the landing gear safety pins to make sure they're in, okay? If you're going on a large airliner, gaining access to the cockpit, instead of checking seat pins and stuff, it means actually going to get the key, right? Because you might have to, the cockpit might be locked, right? So the external door might be locked. Go and get the key, get access to the cockpit. Once you're in the cockpit, carry a switch check, which I'll cover in a separate part of this video. Okay, I'll edit it together. I'm looking for time because I've got it. Okay. Right, so I'll do the switch check video and then I'll come back and we'll do the power on bit. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so this is just for a little bit of fun. Well, not a little bit of fun, it's actually a serious lesson, but when I was going on the Jetstream to do some filming for something else, I found this that the HE team had left on as a quick guide for powering up the Jetstream. Okay, and looking at it, basically it's someone's printing off a switch check. Now this is taken from the manual, so someone's gone on the manual, looked in the manual and produced this switch check. Okay, since it's here, we might as well use it and use it as part of a lesson, because all experience of powering up aircraft is good experience. All right, and what I'm going to do, you know, we're under COVID regulations, so I'm just quickly going to sanitize my hands on the, someone's been kind enough to leave some sanitizer up here, so I'll have a bash on that. Right, I'm not sure what's happening with the camera, because it seems the viewfinder seems to have turned off. Okay, hopefully we're back on. Sorry about that. So let's have a look at the switch check. So it says co-pilot skirt, strobe CB, pitot heater CB, and pitot heater CB pulled. Now when it says CB, it says it's circuit breaker. Okay, so you're looking for the circuit breakers to be pulled on there. Now looking around the cockpit, if you look down here, you can see some circuit breakers. Yeah, and we've got pitot stall right, so that's the pitot stall warner. Cockpit temperature, recirculation fans, they're both pulled. Power trim, door lock, cabin lights. Yeah, so that's the only thing that's got pitot on it. Yeah, and strobe CB, so see, looking for one for strobe. I might be on the wrong circuit breaker apparently, I'll have to check. Yeah, strobe lights there, so that strobe light's one there, that will get pulled as well. Okay, right. Now, because this is John's aeroplane, not mine, I'll just reset them back to where they were. So you pull that and you pull that one. And then it says co-pilot skirt and pilot skirt. So that one's down there, the co-pilot skirt, that's actually the co-pilot skirt one. The pilot skirt one will be over here. And I can't find the CBs for that. Let's have a look where we're. Right, then we've got the overhead panel, flaps 2 CBs, de-icing 2 CBs, windshield heating, pitot inverters, fire detectors, fuel pumps, left and right propeller anti-icing, and stall warners. So there's lots of CBs to pull up here. So we're looking up this bit here. So just going off the thing, we're looking for flaps and de-icing. So see what we can find. So we've got, let's have a look, we've got lights. As you see, there's lots and lots of circuit breakers up here. So there's your de-icing, there's both of them. Okay, now I'm not familiar with the Jetpowers because I'm not on here very often. Okay, and for that whole panel here, we're looking at this top section here, the circuit breaker panel. Let's have a look. So there's anti-ice on there, pull that's anti-icing on there. I'm looking for inverter supply. I'm looking for flaps really. Yeah, flaps, there you go, both those CVs pulled on that one. Then we're looking at P2 inverters, so I saw an inverter panel. So the inverter panel, you've got fuel pumps, fire, can't find a P2 one on there. There's a stall warner. Taking us a while to find. Oh, unless that's in the wrong bit. Okay. Right, let's check on that one then. It says fire detectors and fuel pumps and propeller anti-icing and stall warner heater. So overhead panel stall warner heater, I saw that one there. So the stall warner heater will be there. Yeah. And we've also got stall heater, the stall warner heater there is pulled off. The fuel pump light is there. So I'm wondering why the fuel pump light is next to there. Fuel pumps, lights, alternators, stall. There seems to be a lot of circuit breakers for the stall warners, because there's one there as well. Fuel filter de-ice left and right, airframe de-ice. Let's have a look. Windshield heater. Right, so there's the propeller anti-ice, which is mentioned. There's two there. I'm just looking for the. I'm looking for. Oh, the fire detectors, fire warners there. Pull both of those, and it also says fuel pumps. 4 circuit breakers for the fuel pumps. Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was pointing it out before. You're probably shouting at the video saying it's over there, Steve. Okay, back to this then. Before applying power, check the undercarriage handle is selected down and flaps are selected down. On application of power, flaps will move, ensure personnel are clear before applying power. So, we've got, it says flaps and undercarriage. So undercarriage, there, that's your undercarriage lever, your landing gear, you've got up and down. These lights here, you should get 3 green lights down here when you put power on if the undercarriage is down correctly. Okay. Right, and then we've got the flap lever. So I'm looking, not familiar with the Jetstream at all. Right, that looks like that's the engine, that's the throttles. We've got a handbrake there. We've got the prop feather. I'm looking for flaps now. There could be on the left hand side. Now if you're not sure about this, you could always get the manual out, but like I say, I've only been given one day, or really one afternoon, to make these videos, so I'm doing everything quickly off the top of my head. I apologise for that. I can't find the flap levers. Altitude, weight control, pressure dumps. Oh, hang on, what's that? That's the fuel clocks down there. Where are the flaps on a Jetstream? God knows. Might be there. Don't think it is though. Oh, hang on, wait a minute. That's the start levers. There you go, right, flaps there. Okay, right, so flap lever's just a little one here. I was looking for some like a big sort of lever like the 737s down here. So what we'll have is it's locked, so you have to unlock it to put it in different positions, okay? And it says lock it in the down position there, so that's flaps down, right? Hopefully you'll see that. For some reason when you do this, the I'll have to look at this camera, I'll have to read the instructions of this camera. The viewfinder at the back goes off to save batteries, I think. Okay, And then it says center overhead console, master electronics switch on, P1, which is pilot 1, left overhead panel, generator switches, battery bus switch, main bus switch, non-essential bus switches, all on or normal. The battery bus switch is set to off. So we're looking at master electronic switch to on, which is over here, DC control. So there's a battery bus, so that should be off. Okay, let's have a look. Main bus is set to main bus on that one. Well, stall one, instrument power. It's not instrument power. I would leave that one off actually. Right. I'm sorry, I'll leave this to everything that John's got set to, so I'm not muck around with his aeroplane. Right, so that's meant to be off. AC control. God knows. Master electronic switch, or center electronics, so it's in the center one. Master electronic switch, ignition, auto pump, test, overspeed, fuel bus, flight off. More, there you go, right in the middle. Right, so you flick that on, right? Couldn't see the wood for the trees. Okay, so that's on, that's off. Then we've got the main bus switch on the left overhead panel, should be off. Sorry, should be on, and then the non-essential bus should be normal, and both inverters should be on. So the left overhead panel, we're looking at the main bus should be, well, it's battery in main bus, so that's on, right? And then non-essential bus switch should be normal, non-essential bus switch to normal. Hopefully that's pointing in the right direction. And then the inverters on the right hand side, both inverters should switch to on. So there's both inverters there, they should be switched to on. So this aircraft is now, according to this checklist, ready to accept power. And then you go outside, you say power on, give the signal for power on, which I'll need to put the camera down there. I think we need to put it on. So power on, whoever's outside would flick the power switch to on, it will all power up and we'll be ready to go. Yeah. Right, so I'll just put them back the way I found them. Battery bus is off. Let's have a look on that one. Once they turn on, I left that was left there. Everything else is as I found it. Okay, right, so that's a switch check on the Jetstream. Okay, we will do one. We're not going to get a chance probably to do one on the 737 because literally I was trying to make videos on that, but now we've only got one. I've only got one afternoon to do that, so I'll do one on the Jet Provost as well. I'll show you a switch check on Jet Provost. So it's a lot quicker than this one because I know where all the switches are. And then I've already recorded the next session, which is putting power on. Okay. Well, that doesn't slide off. Right. Okay. So once you've done the switch check, right, and you're happy that all switches have been checked, so we going through what you're checking on the switch check. Pico probes, okay, make sure they've turned off. If they've got rubber covers fitted as they might have on the ground, and you power them up and someone's left the pico heater switched on, then that's going to burn the rubber covers, and then you're going to get molten rubber inside the hole, so the tube's not going to work when it's airborne. So you've also got static ports and other things that are heated. So they should be turned off as part of switch checks, but again, belt and braces, make sure when you're powering up an aircraft you've checked things like that. Yeah, once you've happy the switch check's been carried out, and you're about to plug the power in, right, open the panel, quick comfort check, there's nothing inside the plugs. Plug it in, make sure it's firmly and fitted correctly. Yeah, okay, and then before you actually hit the switch, it's always a good idea to go power on, yeah, and flick the power on. Okay, now I haven't bothered to plug this one in because we're just demoing it, right? But flick the power on, and then the aircraft's powered up. Key things: don't forget, if you're powering the aircraft up, to do checks, to upload software, to check functional checks, to do whatever. Once you've finished, don't forget to turn the power off, and there's procedures for that as well. Okay, so your power off procedures, you go in, you might have to flick switches to certain different So for powering the 737, for example, you have to set the aircraft up to accept power. You flick the power switch on here, and then you go to the pilot and you'll give the symbol for power on, which is power on, like that. Not the pilot, sorry, the other ground crew member. So you go to power on, and then they will accept power in the cockpit and tunk, press the switch, power up the aircraft. When you depower the aircraft, we will depower the aircraft first, right? And then you come down, you can switch the power set off. Once you switch the power set off, remove the plug. Now, when you remove the plug, don't forget, to securely put the panel back up. Remember what I showed you on the JPs, where put the panel back up and then just swipe it with your hands. And it's that's like a little Stevism. That's a mental thing to say, I've shut the panel and I've shut the panel. So if you don't remember closing the panel, you might remember swiping it. It's just a little thing that, it's a human practice kind of thing, really. It's kind of good practice, okay? As well as that, if someone's watching you, if you're working, not so much civvy aircraft, but if you work in military aircraft and you work in a flight line, and you've got a flight line supervisor, if they can see people shutting panels and then swiping them, they can see that from a lot further away than you just pressing the panel on. Okay, so they can see, if they see you doing it all the time, it's less likely, if a panel is left open, it's less likely to be your fault, isn't it? If you're very, very, what's the word, particular and accurate about closing panels. Okay? Don't forget simple things with panels on aircraft. When you open a panel and when you shut a panel, if it's one that's not open and closed very often, it's your responsibility, right, when you close that, look inside, if there's any leaks, or there's anything missing, or any FOD drops out, or anything like that, anything untoward when you open that panel, it's your responsibility to report that. Flight safety doesn't just stop because it's not part of the job that you're doing. Okay, so if you open it, you go, well, that wire looks a bit frayed. Yeah, not my job, I'm not an electrician. You don't just shut the panel and let it go away. You report everything that you see. Alright? Good stuff. Right, so once you've put power on, like I say, final audio warning before you actually flick the switch to say power on is also part of the procedure. And that's it for put power on aircraft. Anything else? Not really. Right, okay. Move on to the next bit.